Hi again, welcome back with another episode of Recovery Dan. Again, and I always like to start out by thanking everyone for subscribing. Thank you for your likes and your comments. I certainly appreciate it. I can't do this without you guys. Certainly appreciate it. Today, I want to talk a little bit about me. And this Saturday, August 13th of 2022, I'll be celebrating my 16th year in sobriety. And I am so thankful for that. I don't regret a day since I stopped using alcohol and drugs and decided to change my life around. It certainly has been a blessing to me. And I do these videos to encourage you that you also can change. You know, it's been 16 years of just reaching out to others, trying to give back what was freely given to me, being able to just instill confidence in those that's caught up in addiction. You know, I'll be honest with you and tell you that I spent a lot of time in prayer because I couldn't do this on my own. You know, self-will. I self-will for so many years. Everything about selfish, didn't want any help from anybody. It was always what I wanted, when I wanted, as long as I wanted it. And that's just the way I live my life, just self-will my life. But you know, it was a time that you have to make a choice between self-will and God's will. And because self-will was the very thing that caused me to stay out there so many years, just doing it my way. And so, you know, the last 16 years have been the best years of my life. My worst day in sobriety is better than my best day out in addiction. And that's the honest God's truth. You know, I just want to encourage you to not give up. I want to encourage you to fight with everything you have and win the war on addiction. It's not hard and complicated at all. You know, like I always say, you have to be willing. You just have to be willing. You have to be willing to change. But one thing you must do, you have to put self-will to the side. You know, if you look at self-will, that's the reason you haven't made any changes if you are trying to change, because you won't allow God's will to work in your life. You know, it's always been for me one day at a time. All I have is today. Today I choose to live my life in God's will and not self-will. I never dreamed that I would have 16 years in sobriety. I didn't think it was possible. But, you know, once I started this journey and just seeing how incredible it is to live a life of sobriety, to live life on life terms, no matter what comes my way. I don't have to drink, I don't have to get high. You know, it's just so amazing to me. A person that was considered a town drunk in his community, the person that everybody figured probably wouldn't amount to nothing. It just shows you that when you put self-will to the side and you begin to do God's will, that your life can change. You know, I went into the fire of addiction and came out. You know, people look at me now and they have no idea that I ever even got high or that I ever even drink. And you know, and that just shows me that what God was able to do in my life for these last 16 years. You know, I'm just so thankful that I can just sit here today and talk to you and just look back and just seeing over the years that how he has had his hands on my life, how he has ordered my steps in life, Everything that I do, everything, every minute of the day, every second of the day, you know, I'm always grateful in my heart for my sobriety. I don't take it for granted, I cherish it. You know, the biggest prayer that I ever prayed in my life is when I kneel down and I ask the Lord to put something inside of me to hate drugs and alcohol. And I knew when I got up that it was gone. It was just gone, and I knew it. And all I had to do was just, you know what, Lord, just help me to stay in your will, not to go back to self-will. And being in his will, it has kept me for 16 years. You know, I just encourage you with everything that don't work, that if you're caught in addiction and you're struggling in and day out with this disease, you know, you have to put self to the side. You just have to put self to the side. Because if you could do this on your own, you would have done it already. You would have done something about it already. You would not let addiction drag you out this long. But you know what? That shows you that self-will won't win this war on drugs and alcohol. It will not. It's just going to keep you out there longer and longer and longer and longer if you continue to rely on self-will to fight addiction. You just won't be able to do it. But it's, you know, it's nothing wrong with just a simple prayer, not my will, Lord, but thy will be done. You know, you have to take drastic measures for drastic situations. And sometimes you have to, you know what, humble yourself. You know, let that pride go. Let pride go and just humble yourself. But you must destroy self-will. You know, how many times did I tell myself that I was going to quit? And I couldn't quit. I just relied on Danny, and it didn't work. You know, when I decided and made that decision that, you know what, enough is enough, I just waved the white flag and surrendered. Because you know what, I knew that I was headed down the path of just death. I don't even think I would have, you know, I would have surpassed the jails and institution. All I knew, I just felt like, you know what, if I don't do something, I'm gonna die. There's no ifs and buts about it. I was just gonna die. You know what? I got angry. I got angry with this disease. I just felt like, you know, the humiliation, the degradation. So I decided that, you know what, I was gonna do something that I never done before. And I was gonna just, you know what, I'm gonna rely on you, Lord. It's gonna take you to help me through this addiction. You're gonna have to put something in me to help me with that. And you know, I'm so thankful and grateful again to share with you that, you know, the last 16 years of my life has just been I can't even put it in words. That's how good it's been, just to be normal, just to be clean, just to be sober-minded, to be vigilant. It's just amazing to me. If you just had 1 week of it, I believe you would go forward and never look back, because you would realize what a terrible place you had been in. And you know, that darkness, that emptiness that you go through day in and day out, the guilt, the shame, the remorse, or even just having to look at yourself and think about the things that you've done, the people you hurt. Drugs and alcohol, it rips every fiber of your being. It destroys you. It takes everything from you. And you know what? Enough is enough. Enough is enough. You know, get the joy back in your life. Get the smile back on your face. I just hate to see the people I know that some of my friends are still in addiction. And I had a chance to stop by and say hello to some of them, and I could see the sadness in their face, their countenance. It ripped me to pieces, because even though they were smiling on the outside, I could see it on the inside. I felt it. I felt the pain. I just felt it go throughout me. And it just, it bothered me for days on end because it just looked so empty. There's no doubt in my mind when you're in addiction, you're spiritually bankrupt. You're spiritually bankrupt. You feel too ashamed to pray. You feel, you just don't feel like you're worthy to ask God for anything. But I'm telling you, that's the kind of God we serve. Those of us that are in the miry clay. Those of us that feel like we have nowhere else to turn. Those of us who feel like family just gave up on us. And those of us who feel like everybody has talked about us behind our back. Those of us who know that people laugh at us. Those of us who know that this is not what we want in life. Those of us that know what it feels like not to have a home to go to at night. Those of us who know what it feels like to sleep out in the cold. Those of us that know what it feels like to hurt deep down inside. Those of us who know the shame that we feel in addiction. And I ask you, and I plead with you, bring it to an end. Bring it to an end. Do what you must do to bring it to an end. Our time on this earth, it's not long at all. Don't you want to spend some of the rest of your years just being you? Wake up in the morning and just be you. You don't need to put no drug, no alcohol or anything into your body, but just be you. You don't have to rely on self-will to come through this because you don't have to go through this addiction alone. You know, I'm so thankful that, you know, that I got that opportunity to change my life around. And like I said, I hate drugs, I hate alcohol, I hate it. I hate it with a passion. I hate it because it destroys lives. It robs us of everything that's good. Every single thing that's good, it'll rob you of it. It takes away everything, and all we want to do is just go back and get high and get drunk because we can't handle the hurt and the pain and what was taken from us. But I rest assured, if you would just humble yourself and kneel down and ask God for help. If you can't talk to nobody, you can certainly talk to Him. You know, I'm thankful again for this celebration in my life of 16 years. You know, it makes me smile to be able to sit here in the town drunk, can celebrate 16 years. And so it just lets you know, no matter what people say, no matter what people think, that, you know what, but God is still working miracles. I'm here, a sitting miracle in front of you. A man that thought it wasn't any hope. A man that thought, you know, that was going to be my life. And the Lord just stepped in and said, no, it's not. I still love you, Danny. I got my hands on you. All you got to do is humble yourself before me. I will help you. And that's what He wants to do for you. Listen to that still small voice. You can hear it. And He's saying that I love you. And the worst thing that you can ever do in your life is to blame Him for the poor decisions that you made and I made. He never twisted my arm to drink a beer. He never twisted my arm. He never done those things, but by my self-will, I chose to do those things, and it unleashed a nightmare in my life. But it wasn't him. Don't ever blame God for the things for the choices you made. You man up and you admit, this is my fault. Even in my worst days, I never blamed God. I never blamed him. I've always just asked, will you help me? I know I done wrong, but will you help me? And so don't ever blame him, because I'm gonna tell you what, he's the very one. If you're gonna make it, it's gonna be through him. I'd like to thank you again for subscribing. Thank you for your comments. I certainly appreciate the comments. And I'm praying and I'm hoping that everybody that's suffering through addiction can take a look at my life and understand that you're looking at a miracle. You're looking at a man that slept beside the road. You're looking at a man that slept in the woods. You looked at a man that went hungry for days. You're looking at a man that hygiene was not even a necessity in my life. I didn't even live, I just existed. But for the last 16 years, it's been amazing. It's been amazing what God has done for me. He has exceeded my expectations. And so, you know, the one thing that I love more than all is the peace that he gives me. The peace that he gives me day in and day out for the last 16 years. There's no amount of money that I could put on it. I wouldn't take nothing for it. I wouldn't take nothing for it. I don't lay up treasures on this earth, because this earth shall pass. But the peace of God is more than I could ever ask for. If he never gave me anything else, his peace alone is the most beautiful thing that I could ever have in my life. Again, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you guys. I'm praying for you guys. And I want that peace. I pray that peace will rest upon you. And I pray that the road to addiction would come to an end. It would come to an end. That you may find that road of peace as I did. God bless you until we meet again.